People, Deluded, I'm back again. I know I'm an Arsenal fan, but I like football, innit? I'm a fan of the game, the beautiful game first, Arsenal second. So with that in mind, I like to talk about things in general. I can talk about my team until I'm blue in the face. I'm black, so we'll be here a while. But in relation to general talking points, you know, the transfer market, there's a lot of hot names, you know. The one that's taking over is if Messi's going to leave Barca, Thiago going United, then Liverpool, then this team, even linked with Arsenal, Arawa, you know, Arsenal allowing me to even flirt with the idea of Arawa joining this club, you know, Partey the same. There's bare targets and things like that. And I'm rating what some people are doing. Some people are making shrewd additions. Like, I know it's in the Championship, but Brentford, they signed Ivan Toney. I can't say his name, but he's a decent striker. You know, he shouldn't have been at Peterborough. You know, for me, he could have played higher sooner, but he's got his move now. But in relation to Chelsea and United, firstly, you've seen Donny van der Beek allegedly going Man United. For me, I think that's a good signing for 40 million. He's 23. There's always the resale factor. Again, I don't know how much he's followed in Holland, but I'd imagine being part of that Ajax team, I'm not going to say he's a global superstar like Sancho and Pogba and Bruno Fernandes now, I assume, in Portugal, but there must be some marketability with that. For me, I think when I say shrewd addition, I think he's a signing that many fans, you know, it's a better signing in my opinion than people are giving credit for. It's not one to go, oh, you know, and gassing it up, but I think he's a very good addition. I don't know how United are going to set up, because for me, his strengths are more going forward. And I look at Pogba, Bruno and him, I think, you know, when you're dominating sides, that could be good. But where's that midfielder that's going to put a foot in that could allow Pogba, even if he's deeper, because Pogba should be deeper than Bruno, allow Bruno to do all of that, but allow Pogba to venture forward. But in theory, it could be decent. You've got, what I like about Van der Beek, it's a bit like Pogba, he's different, but he's an athlete, you know, he can get up and down the field. He's one of the few midfielders in today's day and age that does that Aaron Ramsey stuff. I had to plug an Arsenal player in that they want to run in behind when they can do that. You know, he likes to run in behind. He can get around. That infectiousness will fall, you know, United and fans in the league in general fall in love with that. He's Dutch. He has to have technical ability. He's got technical abilities. You know, again, I don't have his statistics, and it's only the Dutch league, with all due respect to it. But he has got a respectable amount of goals and assists. So again, if you could add a quarter to that to United, it would obviously they want more, but it'd be a benefit. He can play a couple of roles. For me, if I was Man United or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he box to box for me. But he could even play as not exactly like the poetry in motion Mesut Ozil number 10, but he can play slightly more advanced. How advanced he'd have, you know, I don't think, unless other players are being rested, I don't think there's any point, because if you got Bruno Fernandes and Pogba to a degree, you're not really looking at Van der Beek to be the creative outlet. You just want him to make that run in behind, and I think fans will fall in love with that. You know, apparently Arsenal's Dennis Bergkamp played a big role in persuading Van der Beek to join, and you know, obviously it's funny, ex-Arsenal legend, United man, but you know, when you're in the footballing world like that, and when you look with it without bias, you know, it's a big club to join. It's Man United, like, it's a big club, it's a massive club, infectious fans, you know, the carrot of trying to return them back, and I think 40 million is decent. He seemed nailed on to be going Real Madrid at one point. For whatever reason, that didn't happen, but their loss could be United's gain. And definitely United have spunked a lot of money in recent years. You know, they could do a lot worse than 40 million on this, because you should be making your bread back minimum. And United, I'd say don't write them out really in the transfer market, because there's talk of Thiago. I don't think they will sign Thiago and Van der Beek in addition to having Pogba, Bruno, and on paper Fred and McTominay. Again, you could say that, but I'm looking at the profile of midfielders. It's like, you don't want too many creative men, because if they're all doing the same job, what's the point? You need someone that can put a foot in, and there's not too many of them. They make Fred do that. McTominay can't do anything else but that, so there's that levels. But I think you can't write United out, man. I think they're looking for a centre-half, whether that's the Upamecano's or these traditional names is another thing. I think the Sancho deal's going to happen, to be fair with you. I don't get it twisted. I'd love to banter my friends if it didn't, but I think it's going to happen. Eventually, United and Dortmund are going to have to stop puffing out their chests and get down to the figures. And ultimately, you know, if United put the money on the table, they're going to pay it. Dortmund are going to take it. Moving away from that, in fact, and I don't know if it's true, but I like his name as well, Donny, man. If you're from London, you understand. Donny van der Beek, apparently, I saw it on Twitter, so I don't know if it's real, but he's won the most penalties in the Eredivisie since 2018. When you've got him and you've got Bruno Fernandes, you know, United as well as VAR, and Ferguson paying his direct debits, you know, United might win the league again next year based on this. Because how many pennies did they get? Like 20? He's coming, they're going to get like 50, innit? Now, banter aside, it's a good signing for United, and I'm actually keen to see how he's used in that United team. Because, again, if they had him as a target for a minute, then what do I know? But that wouldn't have been the profile of midfielder I thought they would have went for. You know, I do think they would have went for someone that can ball play, but I would have thought it would have more been a box-to-box. Well, he is that, but a man that you're going to put a foot in more. Moving away from that and looking at our London rivals, Chelsea, you know, they're making moves this summer. They're making moves. I think to a degree, you got to big up Spurs, and I hate to say that as an Arsenal fan, just because I think they've made some decent signings, you know. Joe Hart's a banter thing, but I can see why they signed Joe Hart, because Joe Hart's going to be one of them guys. I'm not being funny, mate, but we've got a manager in Jose who's won all of these things. You lot need to listen. He's going to be a lieutenant. He's going to be a sort of teacher's pet, in my opinion, an experienced head for young and naive players around that Spurs team. You know, certain men ain't won league titles, certain men are just coming in the game. I think it's a shrewd addition for them. I don't know how much game time, but it's a good move for Hart. In relation to Højbjerg, I think Højbjerg improves Spurs' midfield. Again, he's not showstopper, superstar, movie man, but I think he improves them. I think they've got someone who can get the ball out of his feet and distribute it where needed. He's got a decent engine. Just a competent midfielder, and he's got a bit of more pizzazz about him than Harry Winks will ever have, and definitely Dyer when he plays in midfield, even though it looks like he's going to be a centre-half. Doherty, big up Doherty, and I know you're an Arsenal fan. Go and prove why you're an Arsenal fan in that Spurs shirt. Go and concede some goals and things. But I think even that's a shrewd addition. I think he's better than Aurier. What, 16 million? You're just looking at Doherty to be a bit like Tierney, even though, listen, Tierney's a baller, but in the sense of you just want to have some, you know that right back, 10 games, he's going to give you 9, a minimum an 8 out of 10 every game. You don't need to think about him because he's doing his job. That's how I feel about Tierney. I have so much confidence in, you know, he will have bad games, but they're going to be once in a blue moon. It's a bit like when we had Sagna. You know Sagna's doing his job, so we're focusing on other things, and I think that's that. But Spurs, I wasn't planning to speak about them. I thought you have to give them credit. In relation to Chelsea, like I said, Chelsea are the envy of the market. They're getting the business done. They couldn't last summer, they're doing it now. Werner. In today's day and age, Werner for pennies. Do you get? Pressure is on him to deliver, but pennies. They'll make their peas back on Werner. Ziyech can play as a 10, can play on the flanks. The signing out of Chelsea, other than Havertz, that I'm most keen on seeing, because I think he's a baller. You know, Havertz, you always get onto me about pronunciation, but hopefully that's right. You know, they've made some big signings, and I'm probably forgetting people. You know, the Chilwell as well. They need him at left back, so he's a bit irrelevant to this debate. But in midfield, surely a midfielder's got to go, people, because on one hand, you need options and stuff. And Chelsea, you know, they're in the champs. They've got the League Cup, they've got the FA Cup, and the rest of it next season. But surely they've got too many midfielders. I know Lampard likes them, but surely they've got too many midfielders, people. You know, you've got what? And again, 2 of them might go. Kante's linked with a move away, whether he stays or goes. I wouldn't sell Kante because, again, it's a bit like what I'm saying, you know. Chelsea have a lot of good midfielders, but you look at them, who's got different profiles? Because if I'm a manager, I want all my midfielders need to be giving me different options. Like, I want men that are box-to-box and more athletic. I want guys that can control the tempo. Equally, I think you need a player or two that can just put a foot in. Like, they just put a foot in, breakdown play, keep it moving. And Kante is the only one that I can see doing that at Chelsea. Obviously, people put themselves around, but that's what Kante is known for, that box-to-box, putting out fires. You need that. So I think if anyone was to leave, it's going to be Kante and Jorginho. Jorginho probably the definite, Kante maybe, and whatnot. Where Jorginho goes, I don't know. Surrey's left Juventus, so I don't know if that's one. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, he's someone I think can be a main player for club and country, but injuries, you know, it's time to start showing it. How much game time is he going to get? Mason Mount, I don't think he has anything to worry about under Lampard. I think he will always have a spot under Lampard, but again, game time could be hard to come by. Again, couple man can play elsewhere. But surely, people, you know, you've got Havertz. If he comes again, he can occupy a lot of positions. But when you order these names, you scream with the exception maybe of Ziyech, who maybe even prefers to play as a 10. You describe them more as central base players, and and again, you need a squad. But how can this? Surely, people have to leave Chelsea, not just midfield, but all roles. Because you know, off the top of my head, you got Billy Gilmore. great season, future at Chelsea. I don't know if he's going to go out on loan. I don't know how much he's going to feature in Chelsea's plans, but how much game time can he get? You've got Havertz, who you're signing for 70 odd million, sorry. So he has to play. I know he can play as a support striker and occupy a wide position, but he's best centrally, in my opinion, and will be long term. You've got Kante, who we just spoke about. You've got Kovacic, for me, who last season was their best midfielder whenever I watched Chelsea. Again, I'm not religiously watching Chelsea as much as I'm watching Arsenal, so that's just my opinion as a non-Chelsea fan. Could be different from the truth, but you've got Kovacic, who I rate highly, and for me he has to play and is central. You've got Jorginho, you've got Mount, you've got Loftus-Cheek. That's bare midfielders, people. Now again, how many midfielders are going to play max 3? Don't get it twisted, you need depth, you need options, you need a lot of things, but yeah, man, something has to give over there at Chelsea, surely. And this is all assuming they're not going to do other business and things. And again, I'm trying not to include Ziyech because I think he's actually going to occupy a wide position for Chelsea. But you've got to include him in this as well, who can play as a 10. So it's good problems to have. But how much game time is it feasible to get, man? 3 positions, basically. If you know the max they probably look to line up is 3 men in that midfield of some sorts. And you've got about 6-7 players, people. So you probably need to cut that to around 4 or 5, really. So maybe 2 to 3 need to keep it moving. So we'll have to see what happens, man. But in relation to, United probably signing Van der Beek, in relation to Chelsea, in relation to Spurs, we've spoken about some stuff here. So I don't really need to go on and blabble on about things. But for now, it's always a pleasure. DG.